You can't complain about that. Getting
Yeah.
extra money. Hey guys,
Yep.
welcome back to the show here. The Bald Believers podcast. I almost forgot our name for a second. Just
It's
had to
because I'm
look
wearing
on
a
here.
hat.
Yeah, I know. That's threw me off today.
Yeah.
And got my hoodie on this week since you were cold last week. I figured I'd throw my hoodie on. Stay a little warmer today.
There
So
you
we're
go.
back, episode 4, I believe this is, and you guys seem to be liking what we're putting out there, getting some comments, getting some feedback, some emails, and putting out some shorts for those, which seems to be the most popular thing. So today, I think we're just going to go off, no real topics or scripts. I mean, one little quick topic we kind of chatted before we got on here is at our church, we kind of go through series, and we did one on Joseph, we did one on Revelation, so on books of the Bible, Matthew and Mark and Acts and Nehemiah, all these ones. So this past, what was it, Doug? Maybe 10, 11 weeks, maybe some of that. Was it more than that? Somewhere in that
Yeah,
range.
I think usually he does it like about 10 to 15 week range or
Yeah,
something.
somewhere in there. Over 10, less than 20. We did a whole series on Hebrews, and our pastor is amazing. Just the way he can really reach us. I think for both of us, Doug, I think you would agree. The visuals, right? Because having that ADH brain where you're just like, I can't, but having that in front of you and having those visuals and having that connection made not just in your ear but in your eyes too, right? To me, it puts everything together.
He's very good at just showing things to help us visualize exactly what he's talking about. Also, he is also bald, so let's just point that out.
Yeah,
Maybe at some point now.
yeah, maybe
We'll
we can have
see.
him on here. Well, two of
Yeah.
our
Two of our
pastors
pastors. Yeah.
have joined us in the Bald Believers fan club. So it's kind of a running joke at the church. People see a bunch of us. There's a lot of us there that are follically challenged, right? And they'll see us all talking in a group and be like, "What is this? Is it like prerequisite to join?" Like, nah.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because literally earlier when I wasn't as involved in ministry as I am now, I would always make the joke like, well, whenever I get the call into ministry, I guess I kind of shave my head because it seemed like, like I don't know, I can think of 3 or 4 off the top of my head, pun intended, that are bald, that are either in church or revivals or
Yeah.
whatever.
Well, you mentioned that in the first podcast that kind of pushed you to do it when one of our brothers in Christ came up and put his hand on the
Very
back of your
lovingly
head.
said, "It's
It's
time."
time.
Just put his
I
hand on my
think
bald spot and said, "It's time."
I think he's
All right.
actually convinced a few guys to do it. One of our other guys who runs the medical team, he kind of motivated him to do it. So anyway, I think what
Maybe
we
we
want
should. Maybe that's something we should do. We should just
people to shave.
fellow
Then I think it
believers
turns
to.
into a cult.
That's true. All right, maybe not. Maybe
Harry, what
not.
do they? Harry Krishnas do that, right? I
Uh,
don't even know too much about them. I don't know. Anyway, I digress. I'm not going to talk about a subject I don't understand, even though I try to do it every day with my wife.
gosh,
I'm
that's a whole
kidding.
separate episode.
That's a whole series.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so I think what we were kind of saying is, and I'll let you. Here I go. I'll let you again. I will shut up and let you again. I'll shut up and you can have the stage here. But what are a few things out of that series that you can reference back in those couple weeks? And I know that there was a few that you had missed because of younger kids, and you had some sick days, and through the winter months and stuff here. I know that can get a little hectic. So, but out of that 12 to 15 set series that we did on Hebrews, is there a few, 1, 2, 3, 10 things you want to kind of let everybody know here? Something that you took out of it, something that just kind of grabbed you and just pulled at your heartstrings, or something that just stuck in your mind that you're like, man, that was awesome. I think all the series he does, I'm like, this thing is amazing. But for me in particular, I'll get to that, is this series was up there, was ranked pretty high. So what do you think, Doug?
Oh, now I can speak. Okay. I'm going to do it every episode.
I know. You said it again.
No,
I
I
watch my words.
so I think some actually just yesterday, the ending of it. I think something that stuck out to me, which I'm trying to do a better job of, is when we were talking. He was talking about how the leaders of the church really truly appreciate all of the encouragement, all of the support, and he's talking about Hebrews at the end there, Hebrews 13. Let me see. I have it here. Yeah, remember your leaders, those who spoke to you the word of God, consider it the outcome of their life, and imitate their faith. Um, I think that was Hebrews 13:7. So I think something that God's been placing on my heart lately to especially again yesterday that I spoke on it. Just trying to make sure you're going out of your way um, to just support, encourage your church leaders because they're getting attacked in every which way. You probably have no idea how much they get attacked by the enemy. So that's something that struck me that I've been personally trying to do a better job at. Um, I used to I'm actually just trying to get a better job at encouraging people in general because I'm a very sarcastic person. So I would just take, I mean, that I just take shots at people and not mean it at any way, but
Yeah.
just trying to, an encouraging word is sweet as honey, right? So,
Yeah. I'm the same way when it comes to sarcasm. I mean, that's how my households run, really. I mean, we all love it, Chris, and we all four of us in my house can dish it out and take it. And there's some days where you're just like, all right, I'm not in the mood, and so you back off that person. But we do it out of love. But I think sometimes when it gets outside of that group of people that um, they understand where you're coming from, and you just start doing that in the general space, right? It can come across as a crutch. It could come across as unloving and uncaring. And if somebody's not in that right frame of mind that day, they're having a bad day, it can really, really sting them. Years ago, brother in Christ, and I don't know what language, but I'm gonna say Greek or something like that. The word sarcasm comes from an original. I'm gonna say Greek, and if someone on here knows exactly, please put it in the comments and correct me. I'm just gonna say Greek because I don't know what it could be, Arabic or something. But sarcasm is the original meaning was of the dog tearing flesh away from a bone when it came to that. So when you start thinking about that, and it sounds weird, but when you do that, it's like it can really deeply hurt and wound somebody if done incorrectly. So I really tried to be mindful of that when I was using that as my go-to. And like in our group of guys at church, I mean, that's us, that's what we do, but we all understand that level. And if somebody new just pops into that group and you're like digging on them in a loving way, right, they may not understand that. And that's what I think coming out of that first or second episode we talked about is the church wounds you can get, right? People get wounded from churches in the past. I have. And the God's perfect, the church is not, and the people that are in the church are not. So someone can hurt you, and then it can have a sting on how you feel about the church as a whole. So yeah, I definitely, like you said, I've really tried to be mindful of how and when I'm using that sarcasm.
yeah,
And
just so you know, I Googled it and
is
it
it?
says it is an ancient Greek word, sarcasmos, which means a sneer, jest, or taunt, derived from the verb sarkazian, which means to tear flesh like a dog. So good on you.
Yep.
Look at that. Look at you
Yeah.
knowing things.
Check that one off. I got
There
did
you
my.
go.
That's one for the year. I'm good.
That's
Where's the mic? I'll drop
everybody's
it.
word of the day now. It's the Greek word
Sarcasmos.
of the day, sarcasmos or sarkazian.
I'm gonna get a shirt made like that, right?
Well, now you
it'll
have
be
to.
it'll be a conversation starter.
There you
Our
go.
brother in Christ runs the thrift shop over there. I had these bracelets made up, these rubber things during COVID. One of the mottos of our church is Rapata, First Thessalonians. Correct me. Can you finish First Thessalonians
5,
5,
16
16
through
through
8,
18? Yep.
17, excuse me. Got the
So
wristband.
there you go. So the original ones I had made during COVID, it's not the original. So we had original like the rubber ones,
Yeah,
and
mine
I
broke.
just I know they all did. And everybody's hitting me up. You got more of those? You got more of those? And I was like, nope, I'm out. Sorry. So The funny thing about that, talking about just putting a Greek word on it, someone's like, "What the heck is that?" Well, guess what? It can start a conversation, right? What is that? And then you start explaining it to them. Then you can maybe even share the gospel with them. I love for opportunities. So when I made those and they showed up, I think we ordered like 2,000 of them for the church, and we handed. They were cheap, and we put them in and handed them out for everybody to get. And on there it said Rapata, rejoice always, pray always, thank always. And it was just an acronym that our pastor had heard years ago from another group and really kind of implemented it into the kind of a baseline for our church and how we kind of live and are always thanking and praising God regardless of what's going on in our lives. But in that, when I made them up, I'm like, the bracelet online you make, and it looks very bland. So I added a cross on either side of the word. And when they printed it and they shipped it out, it looked like two T's. So look, it said, instead of Rabatat, it said Trapatat. And Chris from the thrift, he wore it around and he told me, I was like, oh man, I felt so stupid. I'm like, no one's going to know what this is. He goes, you know how many people have come up to me and been like, what is Trapatat? And it opened up that door where boom, he can share the gospel, right? This is what it is. So I'm like, actually, that is God working in a way out of a mistake that we made, right? I mean, he can do anything in all times and doesn't need us for any of that. But again, he used a stupid wristband that we made thinking it's going to help people, and a mistake in that to now use one of our brothers to go out. And I heard a few other people said they had done that, was able to get that conversation started. So
Now I want a Trapatat wristband.
I was thinking of we'll bring them back. We'll do a retro.
I had no idea that happened. That's awesome.
No, yeah, we'll have to bring them back as like a retro style, retro pre-COVID or whatever. I think we did it right. It was like right in the heat of COVID, right in the it was right as we were allowed to kind of come back into buildings and everything after the tent series, and we bought them not knowing, and then all of a sudden I'm like, we're gonna get them, and then we sat here as a family the one night packaging them up because we were just going to throw them in a basket and let people pick through it. Well, in COVID, we didn't. That was at the beginning when no one really knew exactly what was going on. So I'm like, we can't just throw these all in a basket and have people reaching there. So we bought baggies on Amazon. Like sat there one night, did like 1,800 of them, stuffing them and putting them in there. So at least they were individually wrapped. But that seems like a century ago. So kind of got off topic there, but that's kind of what this whole episode was going to be about. Just a conversation with no scripts. Anything
ADHD.
Yeah. Anything I just said there, or anything you want to throw in? I'll let you talk now.
Well, now you're going to let me. I feel like I don't have anything to say. I've already put my input in there.
It's like our kid.
I'm missing my chance. I finally get a chance to speak, and I'm speechless. That's it. All today.
No, that kind of goes back. I just did that other podcast that I sent you, and on there we were talking about like it takes a neighbor. Like a lot of times they say it takes a village to raise your kids, right? And there's truth in that, especially in a church. But I think that this thing was it takes a neighbor, and we were sharing how your kids sometimes don't listen to what you're saying, but then they'll go across the street to the neighbor's house and they'll listen to what they said, or they'll go to to daycare at church or whatever, and then they're the best behaved kids. And I'm not saying our kids are misbehaved, but you're like, man, like they get home and they're bouncing off the walls, like, but they're with somebody else, and they're like, which I think is kind of what you want as a parent, right? You don't want to then be good home and you ship them off and they're like nutballs at the at somebody else jumping off couches.
Such a great word.
They're not getting invited over to people's houses anymore. So
yeah, it's like that's exactly what happens with my kids. Like half of the days that they're home, like there's just the behavior is kind of out of whack. They definitely push Lisa and I's buttons and test our patience, which we've been praying for patience lately. So
well, he's giving it to you, right?
I was gonna say, surprise, surprise, we're being tested in this area. So whatever you pray for, if you're not ready for it, just watch out, because he'll give it to you. But anyway, so we always like, we have our experience at home with how they act. Some days they're, awesome. Some days are rougher than others. But we always, like, anytime we get a chance, we ask, whoever's in the nursery or whoever's in the kids' church there, like how they do. And they're always just like, oh, they're perfect angels, and like people, you know how this is,
Yeah.
it's like you
Yeah.
see your kids, being little misfits, being little versions of me, at at home, and then you just like you're just like there's just no hope for them. I've failed, but no, it's that you get that compliment from somebody at church, or I also see them. I see how they interact, like they're starting to play sports now, and how they respond to and listen to their coaches and stuff. And I'm like, okay, we're doing something right, because there's you know th- they're definitely listening to the people that they need to listen to, except for us. So that's fine. We're doing something right at home.
Yeah, but I
So that's
think
all that
that's a
matters.
challenge that God gives us, right? Because while you send them into daycare, right, or you send them over to a family or grandparents' house, right?
Yeah, once a day, once a week. Sorry, once a week. They the younger two well, Adeline's going to be out of school soon, so during the school year, the boys would go over to Nanny's house for like half a day once a
Mhm.
week for Lisa to clean. But yeah, she's a stay at home mom now, so she's
Yeah,
home. Yeah.
but that's that gives us the opportunity to teach our kids, right? Because they go over there and they're well behaved, which you want them to. But and you would also hope that while they're there, those people are also applying a little bit of discipline, right? That when they go to the nannies or they go to the grandparents or they go to the daycare, that they're not just letting them run rampant and teaching them bad, habits, or not kind of implementing the rules that you may have at home. So when they come home, I think that's the time for us to do what we do as parent, right? To teach our kids
Hmm.
and to be there. So if they went there and they came home and were perfect, and it was the roles were reversed, I think it would be probably harder to manage that. So the fact that what you're doing at home and they're feeling comfortable enough to maybe be a little bit more like themselves, but then when they go somewhere, they're a little more well behaved. And that's exactly how my kids were. I never had to worry going somewhere that my kids were going to be, the center of attention in a bad way. And believe me, I've seen plenty of kids. Like when I was growing up, there was a kid that I remember was like, none of the parents wanted him to come over the house. Like he would show up at the door, "Hey, is Adam here?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, he'll be out in a little bit. You're not coming in the house." Because literally a kid would come in and like jumping off of couches and knocking things over. And like you don't want your kids to be. But then when you go to his house was so strict. Like his mom, and he would be like, "Don't touch this, don't touch that," and it was like. So I think when he got released from there, it was just like raw, lion out of the cage. I'm going to go nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, I was probably that kid too. If you didn't know a kid like that, it was
It's
you.
you. Yeah, I was always taught to be respectful, and I think that's where, in a sense, I think that's raised in very legalistic terms in the beginning, of my life, and again, that had some downsides, but I think too it might have had a little bit of an upside in that sense, as to where it kind of made you really think about it. Now, listen, I was not a perfect kid by any means, but usually when I went somewhere to another person's property, I learned to respect that, and I think that's uh, put me into now where I see people. I respect it. I go somewhere, I see a piece of trash, I pick it up. I'm at the Walmart, right, and I see somebody knock the bag of chips on the ground. When they grabbed another one, I'll grab it and pick it up. And I'm not, tooting my own horn here. I'm just saying, like small things like that. And my kids see it. We were at the store the other day, and there was something laying on the ground. My son picked it up and put it back on the shelf, and I was like, hey, you just get this little wins in your heart. You just step back and smile. Like, all right, I did something right here.
They're always watching.
Yeah,
Actions speak louder than words.
yeah.
So
There was a saying my sister told me a couple years ago. My daughter, 22 now, and she turned 18. My sister called me and she goes, "Hey, how's it feel to raise a kid to completion?" I laughed because I was like, "That's actually kind of true if you think about it, right?" She's 18, she's on her own. I mean, she's still not on her own, but she's legally, I don't have to feed her anymore.
yeah, oh, is that why I see her walking the streets?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
No, yeah,
Just kidding.
we go on a camping trip for
I
every year
mean
for her
that
birthday.
in acting as if you kicked it out. No other meaning that could have been taken by that. I just realized what I said. See, I talk
All
too
right.
much. This is why you have to put me on a leash.
That popped in my head, but I wasn't going to draw attention to it, so you
I
did. So.
sorry. You can
No,
just
she
edit
was.
it out. I don't know.
No, yeah, maybe they will. If not, it's a good laugh. We all meant. I know what you meant. We all have those foot in our mouths moments, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I forgot I got off track here. So, oh yeah, we go camping every year. Her birthday's in May, so the first camping trip we do every year, and that's the one we just went on the other week, was her choice wherever everyone she wants to go. We pack up, and it's not camping, it's glamping. Got a big trailer with TV and queen beds and all that. Anyway, it's fun. We still get out and get out into nature, but at night you can come back and sleep in a nice warmer air conditioned space and not get bugs and water dripping on you. Uh, that year we went out for her 18th birthday. On the way there, we're driving, and her birthday was on Saturday. She wasn't 18. I said, "Hey, legally, this is the first year. If you tick me off, I can leave you at the campground and can't get in trouble for it." Because she was going to turn 18 on Saturday. I was like, "Hey, when we leave Sunday," and I was like, "Don't." I was kidding. I said, "Don't upset me." I said, "I can legally leave you here." So, no, I love my kids. They're awesome, and listen, that's why you have them, right? You had kids because you wanted a family, and every one of them has their own personality. You could raise them, do exactly the same thing, and they're all gonna. You gotta. Nothing is you know written down in a book where you're gonna pick it up. And so I can't believe there's so many parenting books out there. I'm like, I don't know. I've never read one, and I don't know how you think. I mean, I guess maybe it can give you a little bit of advice, but I think you got to kind of live it. It's experience, right? Mainly, in my opinion.
I think like all the parenting books, like I'm with you. I've never read one. I don't read a lot of books outside of the Bible, but um, I
Good
feel
plug.
like there's probably there's probably some good things you can take from each one, but everybody's got their own family dynamic, their own parenting style. What works with one, like you said, doesn't work with another. Same house, same gender, whatever. You just got to find what works and what they respond to, um, and just adjust.
Hundred
But
percent, 100%.
yeah,
Yeah, everyone's what I did with the way I would have raised my daughter is not the same way I have to raise my son. Is just completely different approach because of their personality. And I think too many people try to you know make it a cookie cutter way. Hey, this is what we're living by. This is how. And it makes it easy, right? If you just set one rule for the whole family, it's easy. But sometimes I found that it's easier. And I mean rules. I don't mean that one's given more rules and one's given, but sometimes you have to, right? Someone may be more likely to go do the things that shouldn't be done, right? That where you got to be more of a parent in that sense, and the other one may not need it. You may not have to set a curfew for one of your kids because they're never going out or they're always home by 9, whatever it would be. When you maybe the other one they're gonna push those limits. So, maybe in that sense you have to kind of tweak it for them on all of that. But no, it's
yeah. I
a
think the
journey.
most important thing is just remember somewhere. I think somewhere in Psalms it says, "Children are a blessing from the Lord," and they really are. I mean, obviously, at times it's going to be troubling, hard, exhausting, all of the things. Um, but it's I've learned. I've probably learned more from them as a dad, as a person, as a man than they have from me. So it's definitely just trying to. It's hard at times when things go awry. But just trying to keep that mentality of they are a blessing. It's a tough blessing at this moment in life, but they are a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's the you know my wife, my kids, they have definitely made me to the person that I am today because I chose to be, but then I had to be, right? I made that choice to get married. I made that choice to have kids, and that's not a. I know you and I do, and I do, and a lot of people I do. That's a commitment, right? That's not let's give this a shot and see how it works. No, this is we're all in, right? Your kids, they're going to be out on their own eventually at some point, and you're still going to be a parent to them, but
Mhm.
less responsible. That commitment to our spouses is permanent. I think we talked about this on the other episode, but I mean, I took that very seriously, and I think a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot, I say, some people maybe look at that as just a job, another thing they're doing, right? I don't like it. I'm just going to move on and change something. So I think if you set in your mind that there's no out on this, there's no moving from this, I'm going to be in this 100%, good, bad, or anything in between. We're gonna get through this as a family, and talking through it and working through it, and that connection and a little bit of humor and a little bit of fun, but break the monotony. It's not always about learning. Sometimes I have to step back and be like, all right, this is a teaching moment, but I'm not going to teach in this moment, right? You got to find out. I don't want to be the dad that's always got to make a point with everything. Well, you just tripped on that sidewalk. Let me tell you about, I want it to be sometimes caring, you okay? And other times I'm going to chuckle. You all right? So you got to find those medium points, and no book's going to tell you that.
No, yeah, and
No
I think
pot.
it's important. I think it's important to let your kids fail. I mean, make sure obviously what they're doing. Your job is to keep them safe and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but they learn. If you just tell them what to do, and especially not even like tell them why they should or shouldn't do whatever it is. I mean, you let them fail, and then they'll learn from their mistakes and grow better from that than anything. Well, in my experience, anything you would tell them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, definitely live the way that you should, so they see that and model the way that God intends us to live. But um, yeah, I think it's important too for parents out there. It's like it's okay if they fail.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who is, if you just think of like business success, everyone who you see as successful, they failed their way to the top.
Oh yeah.
So I I think, yeah, I think parenting is no different,
Yeah.
in that respect at least. But
Yeah.
um, just a little plug in there and make sure if anyone's out there listening to this, and you know if that would help anybody, there you go.
Yeah. I just read and it's more to do with the business. Let me pull that up while we're talking here. But a quote I read, and I shared it with my wife, and because her and I were talking here, she's going off and doing some stuff here, new chapter in her life, and she's nervous. We've obviously in business and life, you try things and you fail, right? That's how you learn. Um, and the one quote here was, "Winners lose more than losers ever will." So the people that don't try, the people that uh, quit when it gets hard, right? If you don't learn from those mistakes, you're going to repeat them, and it becomes even harder. And I'm guilty of it. I did it for years. I think the other episode we talked about just taking a while. My wife having the patience and the grace with me to just until I got to a point where it sank in, and and
Yeah.
and and working through that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's important in business and in life.
Yeah.
Just like in my real estate business, like I can't tell you how many times I've tried different types of marketing or lead gen or anything, and just keep failing and failing and failing, and finally found something that worked for me.
Yeah.
So I think if I gave up on the eighth try, I would have never known that the ninth one is the one that would stick.
Were you about to
You know.
plug my business? I'm kidding.
Nope.
No, 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 no. We're not to
Nope,
go
absolutely not. No, I don't. Nope, I don't want to plug your business at all.
No, I'm kidding. We're not going there. Not today. We'll have to get some paid advertisement on for that. So, yeah, I was
Maybe, hey, if your business wants to pay for this episode, I'll
sponsored
give it a
by.
plug.
How much you want? $5?
Nah, dude.
Sponsored by. Let's take
Kids
a
are
short
expensive.
commercial break here. We got to talk about if you do a read. So, no, we were just talking about failing. And I think you live as a husband, as a parent, right? You're going to wear all kinds of different hats, right? You're going to wear that comforting hat, right? The disciplining hat. You're going to wear they're crying, they're sad. Sometimes, and I am this way, I'm the fixer, right? Been in construction. I can fix anything around my house, my cars, anything. So when my wife comes to me with a problem and I'm like, let me fix it. And she goes, just shut up. She doesn't say, she's quiet. Just give me a hug. Right. That's what she wants. She wants me to just be there in the moment. I don't know, like, how is this helping? Like, let's fix it. Let's have a plan of action. And sometimes you do need that. Sometimes I do need that plan, but a lot of times I've learned that it's just be quiet and be there. And that's the hardest. Silence is the hardest thing for me, right? I mean, we're talkers,
Oh,
man.
I
That's why
know.
we're on here. So, all right, you can talk now.
No, I'm good. I'm gonna put my
So
foot in my mouth again.
that's good. Yeah, so I think we'll jump back real quick here to one thing I was thinking about earlier when we went so off course here, which is completely fine. Not really off course. We just changed the subject. Was the whole Hebrew series for me? I think the biggest thing I got out of that was faith in God, right? Um, Trusting Him when we think it's impossible. We got to remember the God that we serve, right? We just went through the whole series, and the God of, I'll pull them up here. So the God of, we had, greater than faith. We had the Abel faith, and we had, I'm pulling them all up. We had the Enoch faith, and the Noah faith, and the Abraham faith, and the Isaac, and the Sarah, and the Joseph, and the Moses, and the Joshua, and the Rahab, and the Judges, and the David, and the Samuel. I mean, we can go on and on and on, right? And so many of the great people in the Bible that we read about, their biggest accomplishments was not what they did, and but it was the faith they had in God, right? Yeah, I mean, Noah built the ark. Back then, there was no rain. It took me a couple years ago. I realized, like, you read deeper, like up to that point, there was no rain. Like, it never rained. It wasn't like, oh, it didn't rain for 2 weeks, and people were like, "What are you doing, you crazy guy?" It was like it had never rained. It wasn't a thing that rain wasn't necessary, right? Before the sin. So when he's building a boat and people are coming up to him, and I think there was that one movie out there that kind of was a play on like the modern day Noah, and it was the same thing, like, "Oh, you crazy guy." But imagine that. Imagine trying to explain rain to somebody that it's never happened, and then you got to tell them you're building this ark for what? For rain? What are you talking about? Water falling from the sky? You know what I mean? How nuts that guy! But the faith that he had is why we still do whole series sermons on him, right? Because of that, the Abel faith and everything else. So I think that's what I took out of that. One of the big things was just faith in God. When we think it's impossible, like that, boom, God's like, I did it. And so many times in my life, I get to a point where I'm like, in business and marriage and whatever, right? And you're just like, God, listen, I'm praying for this right now. I need this. I really think that this would be the right thing to do. And it may be good, it may be godly. You're not asking for, crazy stuff, just asking for maybe calmness in your home. And at that moment, you just got to have that faith that it's going to come, that in that turmoil, you're learning something, right? One of the biggest prayers that I pray when I'm going through a struggle, I just went through like 3 months of severe back pain. I had torn a disc in my back, and I mean, it was some of the worst pain that I've ever felt. And leading up to that, I was like, I'm going to go to the gym more. I'm going to start eating healthier. Like, I made all these good, healthy life choices, right? I'm making positive change. And then boom, one night I wake up and had to go to the ER, excruciating pain. And I'm like looking at the God, I'm like, I'm not blaming him, but I'm like, God, like, really? Like, I thought I was doing good. I thought I was I wasn't out drinking, and I wasn't out, I wasn't sitting on the couch eating Doritos. Like, I was trying to and then boom, here I am in the hospital, laid up in a bed, and then I couldn't go to the gym. I had days off of work and just excruciating pain, and everything I did, every doctor I went to, there was no improvement. And through all of that, my biggest prayer is that I don't, um, miss the information that's coming out of this trial that I'm in right now. What are you trying to teach me right now, God? Right? There's something's going to come out of it. I can be miserable this whole time and come out of this and learn nothing, or through this trial, my biggest prayer when somebody's, how can I pray for you? Pray that the pain would go away, but if it doesn't, pray that through this, God's reasoning for allowing this to happen in my life is going to be like that Job, right? I always looked at Job. Probably one of my favorite books in the Bible is Job, and just everything he went through, and how through all of that, even when people came to him and were like, "You still believing in that God, the God that's allowing this to happen?" And you're like, "Yep, he is the only one, and God knows better than me." And to see what comes out in the end, like, like when I start going through trials, I don't like them, but the more I go through them and the more I get in prayer, I'm kind of like, all right, something big's coming here, God. I see you working, and I kind of get excited,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard, but James, the book of James, which is one of my favorites, says, "Consider pure joy when you face trials of
Hmm.
various kinds." And I don't know the rest word by word, so I'll butcher it. But it produces steadfastness, and
Steadfastness.
we
Yeah.
yeah, what is it?
I think
James
it's one
1? Is it
one.
James 1?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's
James
one
right.
one.
Yeah, it's right in the beginning.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's one of my favorite books of the Bible. And two, I mean, going back to what you were saying, just talking about faith, and like, how many times when you read about Jesus's life and all of the miracles he did, how many times did he say, your faith has healed you, or your faith
Hmm.
has made you well? Like,
Right.
it's not, I mean, he's doing it, right? But it's
Yeah.
because you had faith
Yeah.
that he could do it. So
Yeah.
and then going back to what you said too is like, how big is your God? um that's just, all of that connects, like, having faith, like how small did you allow God to become in your life?
Hmm.
How big is he in your life? And then how much faith do you have that he can actually do, whatever it is you think that you should be doing,
Yeah.
and help you do it. So
Yeah, it's definitely hard when you're in the midst of that, right? And I
yeah.
love, outside of Jesus in scripture, Paul is, obviously he wrote most of the New Testament, but I mean just his how God used him going from what he was and to what he became is amazing. And when he talks about um, the I mean I'm messing up the scripture here. When he talks about, it's all I don't look at this is a light now, right now is a light momentary infliction. Like he is shipwrecked and imprisoned and all these things. And he was just basically like, right now, I count it, this is nothing compared to the joy that we're going to see when we reach our eternal home. And it's amazing. It doesn't lessen necessarily what you're going through in an immediate sense, but just having that faith is has been my biggest the biggest thing that I've been able to hold on to. And without that relationship with Jesus Christ, you really struggle. And, I encourage anybody listening here that if you don't have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, what we're talking about is not about religion, right? It's not about uh, going to a specific place on a certain day and all of these ritualistic things that may go along with it. It's about a relationship with the God of this world, and that one-on-one relationship with Jesus Christ when he hung on that cross, which is not just biblically documented, but secularly it's documented. Like this happened. Like it's one of the most documented things. There's more of that. There's other historic figures that we all teach about in school that have less transcripts and less things written about them. So, in the sense of, hey, maybe I don't believe that he's this or he's that, but secularly you got to look at too. Like it is documented that this is what happened. So having that one on one when he hung on that cross, you were going through his mind, right? Doug, me, Bob, Susan, Jane, whoever, right? Everybody, he thought about you in that exact moment. And that's the reason that he hung on that cross was for you. Not for me too, but for you. Our connection has nothing to do. It's that relationship with Jesus Christ, my relationship, your relationship, somebody else's relationship. That is the single most important thing that you can do in your life is accept that, believe in that. And if anybody listens has questions on that, feel free to reach out, comment. Our links or contacts are in the bio here, and we'd love to share some things with you. And we'd even love to send you out a gospel book, track book that we would have. If you don't have scripture, if you don't have the Bible, we can download them all on our phones and devices now. But we'd love to send you something. So reach out to us, and we'd get that out to you. But that's kind of my elevator pitch on that, right? I mean, I could go on for hours. So we're 40 minutes in, and I'm good to keep going. So, but that's how I am. So that's kind of what I got out of that Hebrew series is just faith, right? And I had been going through a lot of big changes in my life over the past 6 months here. And every Sunday I'd sit there with a tear rolling down my cheek. Like, all right, God, I hear you. I hear you. And then about 2 weeks ago, I'm sitting there, and there was a big decision I had to make. And I turned to my wife and I said, "I'm doing it." And she goes, "I knew you were." So it just took a moment for God to get me to a place where I realized that I realized how big He was, and I stopped thinking it was something I was going to do. Right? He had already done it, and I had to surrender. What does that look like? What does surrender look like? It's hard to kind of describe, but I just had to say, like, all right, God, it's you. And I'm put that faith in you 100% and go all in. Happy I did it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's awesome. I think that's it's probably a good place to end. Can't really follow that up. I'm sorry. Am I allowed to talk? I forgot. I just started blabbering.
I
Sorry.
know I should have muted you. Should have hit that mute button.
Yeah, you
No,
really should.
I think I'm good. I think I got enough out of my system to feel confident about this episode. And um, remember to like, share, subscribe. It really does help us, and allows us to get this out to more people out there. All the links will be down below if you want to reach out to us, or you have any questions, leave those comments and we'd be happy to get in contact with you.
All right.
All right.
We will
Y'all
see
have a
you on the
great
next
day.
episode.
All right. Bless y'all. Have a great day.